Billy Burke is my name. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the wedge and the sand shot today. It's not as hard a shot as it looks, and once you have the proper technique, you'll enjoy getting out of a bunker. At least I hope you will. First of all, the equipment is important. In order to extract this ball from the sand, you need a sand wedge. And the sand wedge is built so that the back of the sand wedge, we call this the bounce. This is a 60-degree sand wedge, this is a 56-degree sand wedge. And the bounce of the club basically allows the club to skim the sand out with that type of swath. And depending on whether you dig the club into the sand or are a shallow swinger of a shallow swath of sand, will determine what bounce you select in the sand wedge you use. Very important. For instance, if you dig a lot and you go down and deeply, you need a club with more bounce. Bounce in degrees means there's a greater amount of trailing edge here. It's called the bounce. And that's 14 degrees is about as much as you'll hear or see, and that's good for a person who digs. Someone who doesn't dig so much would go to an 8 or a 10 degree, maybe even a 12 degree, but 8 or 10 degree amount of bounce will fit your particular swing. The technique is fairly simple if you keep it that way. Number one, you want to look at the lie of the ball, how it's sitting. Is it sitting down? Is it buried? Is it a fairly decent lie like this ball has right here? And then you make your club selection. You also have to make a selection on the type of shot you want to hit. We're just going to cover the basic shot right now. And I'm going to give you 3 or 4 things that if you key to, you should have a reasonable amount of success hitting this shot. Number one, very important that you expose the bounce of the club. We just talked about that. The back edge of this club. That's what you want to strike the sand with. You do not want to use the leading edge because the club will just dig and the ball will pretty much stay in the bunker. You want to have the bounce skim off the sand and under the ball so that the sand carries the ball up onto the green. Basically, you're moving sand. And so you have to take a reasonable size swing to do that. There's also a few things in the preparation of this shot that are very important. Number one, we're looking at a relatively close-in shot here, which is similar to what you have when you miss the green on the short side of the pin. So the first thing you want to do is pick your target, become familiar with where you want to land the ball. That's got to be embedded in your mind. Number two, you want to set the club, before you grip it, you want to set the club where it's about a quarter of an inch open. Open means this is a face that's square, you turn the club a little bit to the right, and that's the way you're going to set the club behind the ball. Once you set that face angle, the head a little open, then you put your left hand on the club. You do not do it the other way around. You don't put your hands on your normal way and then open it up. You're not going to execute the shot so easily if you do it that way. So you open the club up slightly. You put your left hand on in the normal way that you would hold every other club. And the grip is very important in this shot, so you need to have your hands in a fairly good position in order to execute the shot. That's another story. And then you want to set the club as you put your right hand behind on the club and set the club, let's say 3 or 4 inches behind the ball, and with your body half facing the target. You don't want to stand to this ball with your body square like so. You want to set yourself where you're half facing the ball and half facing the target. The reason for that is this swing wants to cross the ball. You want to cross the ball so that the bounce of the club slides under the ball. I'm going to hit a couple of shots here. Number one, I look at the target, where I want to land the ball. Get that in your head. Number two, you want to approach it from the side, set the face open, and then set your left hand on. Then re-establish that openness where you're half facing the target. Next point is very important. You want to put your right hand on and you want to bend your knees so that you're lower to the ground. The ball is about in the middle of or a little forward in your stance, and then you're going to take a swing starting from the big muscles of the upper left side. Okay, a bit long, but I executed the shot the right way. And as you can see, that's the amount of sand that I took. And it didn't dig. It was a splash using the back of this club. A little trick that is very helpful when you're practicing your bunker shots is to take the bucket and make an impression with the bottom of the bucket. This is just to define the amount of sand that you're going to take. So you put the ball in the middle of that depression or impression, and that pancake-like impression is the amount of sand that you need to take when you make a swing. You look at this, it's about the same size as that. In a bunker, you're not allowed to ground your club. You have to hover the club above the sand before you hit it. That's a rule of golf. If you do touch that sand, it's a two-shot penalty. So I'm going to hover this club behind on this back point of this pancake-like impression after I set the face open, then open the body, and you see my club is hovering on that back edge. And now I'm just going to trust my swing and use a smooth force. Get in there. And that's the basic bunker shot. With practice, with help from your PJ professional, we have enough PJ professionals here that could help you with a shot. I'm good at it, so why not come and see me for a lesson? Be happy to help you. Once you get the feel of this shot and using the bounce properly, you have the confidence so that when you go in a bunker, you're not afraid to commit to the shot. And golf is all about committing and intent. So put it to practice and check it out with me to make sure you're doing the right thing. Billy Burke saying have a great day and keep swinging.